Do you like mysteries? To wander through the enigmatic mist of the inexplicable? Great. I'm Merc, and here you'll find what you're looking for. Welcome to my domains. The truth dissolves into the mist.
The night sky over Indonesia hides a story older than any kingdom, a story written not in books, but in ash. As you watch this video, I want you to imagine something unsettling. The quiet surface of a lake that holds the memory of a catastrophe so violent that it nearly erased humanity from existence. This place has a calmness that feels intentional, as if it is trying to keep a secret submerged beneath its cold depths. And yet, the land surrounding it whispers. The rocks tremble, and scientists swear that some parts of this story should never have survived. Lake Toba, a shimmering blue expanse stretching across the island of Sumatra, looks peaceful at first glance. People film their vacations there. Tourists smile in photos with volcanic ridges behind them, and locals call it home. But beneath the water lies the scar of one of the largest natural disasters in the history of the human species, 40 times more powerful than the eruption that wiped Pompeii from the map. It was an explosion that turned day into night, heat into death, and humanity into an endangered species. The supereruption was so colossal that ash from Indonesia fell as far as the African continent, painting an entire planet in toxic gray. Some estimates suggest that the global population may have dropped to just a few thousand survivors, a breath away from permanent extinction. There is something deeply disturbing about a place that looks innocent on the surface, but hides a wound capable of reshaping the world. Scientists who visit the region often say the same thing, that the ground feels alive, as if it remembers. And if it remembers, then what else does it hold beneath the sediments and volcanic rock, locked away from the world for 75,000 years? The event that created Lake Toba began silently. Pressure built beneath the earth, magma rising and folding upon itself like an immense, boiling heartbeat. Then everything ruptured in a burst of energy that rivaled the detonation of millions of nuclear bombs. A column of ash climbed higher than any storm ever recorded, blocking sunlight across entire continents. Temperatures plummeted. Plants died. Animals starved. Humans, scattered in fragile tribes, faced extinction as an icy volcanic winter settled upon the planet. But the scientific explanation, as terrifying as it is, does not fully satisfy those who study the region. Because Lake Toba holds anomalies that cannot be explained easily. Thermal signatures that behave erratically. Magnetic distortions detected by survey equipment. Rumors from researchers who claim to feel tremors that do not appear on official records. Several teams have reported unexplained humming beneath the ground, a deep vibration that seems to pulse like something breathing. Local communities, whose ancestors have lived near the lake long before the first written language existed, tell stories passed down through generations. Legends of ancient beings that lived in the mountains before the day of the Great Fire. Some describe giants with glowing eyes that descended into the earth. Others speak of spirits of ash that crawl through the forest mist and stare with faces made of soot. Most unsettling are the tales of survivors who came long after the eruption, claiming to see figures walking along the edge of the lake at night, silhouettes too tall to be human. Even today, visitors report strange experiences. Sudden temperature drops in areas with no wind, shadows moving across the water even when nothing is there. Lights flickering beneath the surface, rising slowly before disappearing deeper into the lake. Scientists have measured gas bubbles emerging from the sediment, yet some of the lights seen by locals move with intention, as if responding to the presence of observers. You watching right now, imagine leaning over the surface of that lake in complete silence. No wind, no sound, only the soft ripple of water brushing against itself. And suddenly, a vibration beneath your feet, spreading through the ground like a warning. Some who have experienced it say they felt a sensation not of danger, but of being watched. The deeper geological scans reveal something even more alarming. Below the lake, several kilometers underground, the magma chamber responsible for the ancient eruption still exists. It is quiet, but not dormant. Heat signatures indicate that the system remains active, shifting, breathing, preparing. No one knows if another eruption of that magnitude is possible. Yet some volcanologists warn that the structure beneath Toba is unlike any other caldera on Earth. It is massive, complex, and unpredictable, a sleeping threat waiting in silence. Yet the mysteries do not end with geology. During multiple expeditions, divers attempted to explore the submerged sections of what appears to be a collapsed volcanic ridge, but many of these expeditions ended abruptly. Equipment failed without explanation. Cameras shut off. Sonar signals returned impossible shapes, structures resembling geometric patterns rather than natural formations. Some researchers quietly speculate about the existence of an ancient settlement that once stood where the lake now lies. A civilization lost long before the eruption erased the landscape. If such a people existed, what did they see in the moments before the sky fell? Did they know the mountain would explode? Did they try to record their final hours? Or is the truth something else, something too old and too frightening for us to understand? The indigenous Batok people hold rituals near the lake that outsiders often misunderstand. They say the lake is alive, not metaphorically, but literally, and that certain areas should never be disturbed. Some elders refuse to discuss specific parts of the shoreline, claiming that the spirits that lived there were not human once, and are not human now. And if ancient legends do exaggerate, science offers its own unsettling truth. Catastrophe that nearly wiped out every ancestor you have ever had, an eruption so vast it reversed the course of human evolution. The genetic bottleneck it created is still visible today, coded into our DNA like the memory of a wound. Every person alive may descend from a small handful of survivors who endured storms, starvation, and a planet collapsing into darkness. Some researchers argue that these survivors must have found shelter somewhere safe, somewhere capable of resisting the volcanic winter. But the question remains, where? And how did they survive conditions that would kill almost any modern community? Some scientists believe the survivors may have gathered in isolated pockets of land untouched by the worst of the ash. Others suggest something far more mysterious, that the environment itself may have shifted in ways we still do not understand, creating temporary sanctuaries hidden from the volcanic winter. But these ideas raise unsettling questions, because if such sanctuaries existed, why do they leave almost no trace? And what happened to the people who lived inside them? The absence of evidence feels deliberate, as if the past refuses to be uncovered. The lake continues to show signs that contradict our expectations. On rare occasions, extremely low-frequency sounds have been recorded beneath the water, vibrations so deep they border on inhuman. Some researchers call them geological signatures, natural expressions of the magma chamber adjusting beneath the crust. Yet the patterns repeat too regularly, pulsing in rhythms that resemble signals rather than noise. Those who have listened to the recordings describe an unnerving sensation in their chest, as if the sound were passing through the body rather than entering through the ears. A group of researchers once reported hearing these vibrations during a field study, claiming the ground beneath them trembled in short bursts. They felt the vibrations were not moving upward from the depths, but outward, spreading beneath their feet in horizontal waves. The team returned with data filled with gaps, corrupted files, and magnetometer readings that spiked so violently that experts later dismissed them as hardware failure. But some scientists involved in the study privately confessed that the experience changed the way they viewed the lake, not as a natural wonder, but as an active presence. Travelers who stay overnight on Samosir Island, the landmass formed within the caldera, have spoken of dreams so vivid they felt like warnings, dreams of fire rising from the water, of a black sky falling onto the earth, of faces screaming through ash. Local elders call these dreams echoes of the Great Fire, insisting that the lake allows some people to witness fragments of the past. According to them, these visions are not hallucinations, but memories trapped in the land itself, replaying whenever the lake chooses to reveal its history. There are also stories of disappearances. Fishermen who ventured too far late at night and never came back. Tourists who wandered into restricted forest paths and were found days later in a state of confusion, unable to explain where they had been. In several cases, the missing described seeing strange lights underwater, following them instinctively, as if something unseen were calling them closer. The details vary, yet one element remains consistent: the feeling of being observed. If someone were to stand on the shoreline at dawn, when the fog is thickest and the wind is absent, they might notice the lake behaving strangely. The water remains still, unnaturally still, with no ripples, no movement, as if the entire lake were holding its breath. Some explorers say this moment is the closest anyone gets to feeling the immensity of what lies beneath, the ancient force waiting quietly, older than civilization, older than memory. And while volcanologists assure the world that another eruption of Toba's magnitude is unlikely in our lifetime, the truth is more unsettling. Supervolcanos do not think in human timescales. Their silence is not safety, it is pattern. Pressure builds slowly, cycles repeat over tens of thousands of years, and humanity, with all its technology and confidence, is too young to predict them with certainty. The remnants of ash layers across the planet prove that Toba has erupted more than once. If it happened before, it can happen again. Deep beneath the surface, magma continues to shift. Tiny tremors occasionally radiate from the caldera, too small to catch public attention, but significant enough to remind scientists that the system is alive. Some researchers argue that the lake's unusual thermal signatures may indicate the early stages of pressure reaccumulation. They emphasize that the next eruption might not match the previous one, but even a fraction of its power would be catastrophic for millions. Still, it is the unexplained elements, the anomalies that evade scientific reasoning, that provoke the most fear: lights that move with intelligence, vibrations that mimic communication, unrecorded tremors that vanish from seismic logs, shadows crossing the lake with no physical source, stories of distant ancestors who claimed that the fire beneath the earth was not merely natural but conscious. This idea lingers in the minds of many who study the caldera, the thought that the ancient eruption may not have been a random geological event, but the awakening of something immense, something with a presence so vast that humanity could only interpret it as destruction. And if that presence still exists deep beneath Toba, what would it mean if it stirs again? As you watch this, imagine standing alone at the lake's edge at night, with the sky reflecting off the water like a dark mirror. Feel the ground beneath you pulsing faintly, a slow heartbeat rising from the depths. You lean closer, trying to understand, and you realize the truth that generations have whispered without fully grasping. The lake is not quiet. It is waiting. Waiting for the moment when the world forgets what it once endured. Waiting for silence to become opportunity. Waiting for the fire beneath to rise again. And when it does, humanity may once more find itself standing on the edge of extinction, facing a force older than history, deeper than memory, and capable of reshaping the world in an instant.
Did you like this mystery? And what is your theory? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, then like and share. I'm Merc, and I'll be waiting for you in the next mystery.